Red moth seized in Arizona. Turns out Eisenberg's still out there. Adam Rayner was the only person in recorded history to have been both a dwarf and a giant in one lifetime. In 2017, a dog named Odin refused to leave his flock of goats behind during the California Tubbs fire as his owners fled to safety. Days later, the owners came back to their property to find Odin survived. He had managed to keep all the goats alive, as well as some small deer that had joined the flock. While on his death bed and unable to speak due to laryngeal ulcer, English writer or philosopher Aldous Huxley made a written request for his wife to inject him with 100 micrograms of SLD. She obliged and injected him with 2 doses, each 1 hour apart. He went out that same day during an SLD trip. Time magazine has named Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in the spirit of Ukraine as its 2022 Person of the Year. Traffic signals with LED lights on the pole itself. This new bulk edition Canadian $2 coin. Robert Hardest has faced transformation. All 9 times he was arrested from 2009 to 2017. This circular island in Argentina not only floats, but also rotates constantly. The snow in the Wizard of Oz movie was 100% pure asbestos. Stefan Bobrowski, who had gorgeous brown hair that covered his entire body from head to toe, was born in Bielsk, Poland in 1890. Drake's chain features 42 engagement rings of potential sweeties in the artist's life for a total of 351.38 carats in diamonds. Previous engagements. Henrietta Lacks was an African-American woman whose answer cells are the source of the HeLa cell line, the first immortalized human cell line that has led to numerous medical discoveries in recent decades. Her highly valuable immortal cells were used without knowledge or consent. When child actor Jackie Coogan turned 18, he found out all his money, $4 million in 1930s, had been spent by his mother, who argued no promises were ever made to give Jackie anything. Every dollar a kid earns before he is 21 belongs to his parents. As a result, the California Child Actors Bill was passed in 1939, also known as the Coogan Law. During the Capitol crawl on March 12, 1990, people with physical disabilities left their wheelchairs and crawled up the steps of the US Capitol building. At the time, there was no accessible entrance. This protest led to the passing of the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. The tallest man to ever live, Robert Wadlow, poses with his family in 1935. Dictator Joseph Stalin's granddaughter Olga Peters is a Buddhist who lives in Portland, Oregon, where she runs an antiques store. Victor Bout, known as the Merchant of Doubt, used his multiple companies to smuggle weapons after the fall of the Soviet Union. He was arrested in 2008 during a sting operation, where he was caught selling surface-to-air missiles that would be used to kill US troops. He is now a free man. Dutch bike company Van Moof made their shipping boxes look like TVs. Overnight, the shipping damage is reduced by 80%. The true size of Africa. Comparison of Africa's land area to selected countries or regions. African continent, 30.4 million square kilometers. Russia, 17.1 million square kilometers. US, 9.8 million square kilometers. China, 9.6 million square kilometers. Brazil, 8.5 million square kilometers. Europe, excluding Russia, 5.9 million square kilometers. India, 3.3 million square kilometers. An electrician's eyes after being shocked with 15,000 volts of electricity. What kids in Mongolia wear in the winter? An external staircase in Brazil. An interesting way to demonstrate the difference. People don't have a strong intuitive sense of how much bigger 1 billion is than 1 million. 1 million seconds is about 11 days. 1 billion seconds is about 31.5 years. A little fun fact about an incredible picture. Zinzu, at over 2,000 years old, also known as Lady Day, is a mummified woman of China's Han Dynasty, 206 BC to 220 AD, who still has her own hair, is soft to the touch, and muscles that still allowed for her arms and legs to flex at the joints, like a living person. Israeli firm Camerotech has developed a system that can see through walls. Eye of the forest. Lonely Fan was the only fan at his team's stadium in a game in 2012. In 2014, he became the club president, and in 2020, they've won the FGF Cup and classified for Copa do Brasil for the first time in the history of the club. Thracian helmet from 4th century AD Bulgaria. Terry Kath, the guitarist who Jimi Hendrix once called the best guitarist in the universe, was once playing with a gun when he told a friend, "What do you think I'm gonna do? Blow my brains out?" He then accidentally blew his brains out. Unbeknownst to Kath, the gun had a round in its chamber. This amazing photo was from a 16-year-old girl who snuck her camera into a Queen concert in 1978. Now, this end is called the Thagomizer, after the late Thaxamans. The Thagomizer is the name for the spiked tail of a stegosaurid dinosaur. It didn't have an official name until the cartoonist Gary Larson did a comic about it, named it, and the scientific community just accepted it and started using it too. The Arctic, 1900s, versus the Arctic today. Girl and her dog both have the same heterochromia. This is the rainbow eucalyptus tree. It is a real tree, no paint, Photoshop, etc. It is found in the Philippines, Indonesia, in New Guinea. Famous jazz pianist Fats Waller was kidnapped by gangsters for 3 days in Chicago in 1926. He was the surprise guest at Al Capone's birthday party. He was later found very drunk, extremely tired, and had earned thousands of dollars in cash from Capone and other party goers as tips. Some of the walnuts from my tree grew 3 halves instead of 2. Comparison between how much water and air we have on Earth. Winter on Fire. Kyiv after Ukrainian protests in 2014. Street art. Kevin Lee called this artwork Invisibility of Poverty. Former billionaire Chuck Feeney has given away over 99% of his $6.3 billion to help underprivileged kids go to college. He is now worth $2 million. Heart-shaped amethyst geodes, discovered in Artigas by the mining company Uruguay Minerals. Sophie Turner and her stunt double Laura Jane Butler. the clearest image of Jupiter ever taken by Juno spacecraft. The face of Raymond Robinson, a man who lost his facial features after being electrocuted with 22,000 volts when he was 8 years old. He lost both eyes, nose and right arm in the incident and is considered a local legend around western Pennsylvania. Did you know that Robin Williams, for every movie he filmed, asked the production company to hire at least 10 SDF people to have jobs? During his entire career, he helped around 1,520 homeless. A man with a big heart. The photograph that saved the life of a man by looking at the banalest thing, a trunk. 50 years ago today, Eugene Cernan was the last human to walk on the moon during the Apollo 17 mission, the 12th of December 1972. World War II, a military policeman of the US 11th Armored Division with a 10-year-old Wehrmacht prisoner, captured near the German city of Kronach on April 27, 1945. Ice tree in Canada. Tree grows out of abandoned chimney. Chandbori, the largest and deepest step well in India. It consists of 3,500 narrow steps over 13 stories and extends 30 meters into the ground. The oldest parts of the step well date from the 8th century, while the upper stories with the columned arcade around it were built in the 18th century. This 11,000-year-old carving of a man holding his pen surrounded by leopards is the oldest known depiction of a narrative scene. Behold, the great-eared nightjar. Zayab, the black man who invented the three-course meal, crystal glasses and seasonal fashion. True scale of David statue by Michelangelo. Jenny Joseph modeling for the Columbia Pictures logo, 1992. She had never modeled before, and never did again. This is called the tilt test that helped prove that London's double-decker buses were safe and not a tipping hazard, circa 1933. Charles Harrelson, father of actor Woody Harrelson, was an assassin and also the first man in American history to assassinate a federal judge. He also claimed to have killed Kennedy. A former sleeve shows his scars. State of Louisiana, USA, 1863. 3 kittens resemble a biohazard symbol. Wave clouds in Wyoming today. Queen elephant who roamed the plains of Tsavo East National Park in Kenya for more than 60 years. With tusks long enough to touch the ground, she was one of Africa's few remaining super tuskers. Slither finished this bad boy today. Ducking proud of it. This is the difference between a crocodile, caiman and alligator. Liam Gallagher on his interesting relationship with Paul McCartney. Liam Gallagher, how's your relationship with Paul McCartney since you called him too nice? I've met him a few times, he's been absolutely a dream. The last time was at the Royal Albert Hall. He goes, why are you always in a rush? Sit down, sit down. I sit down and he goes, do you like margaritas? I said, yeah, but I had something before I come out, I don't eat at this time of night. He said, they're ducking drinks, you stupid prick. I thought he was offering me a pizza. Giant sloths that lived 10,000 years ago in South America. Rare photo of the child voice actors who voiced some of the Peanuts cartoons in the 1960s. Left to right, Sally Dreyer, Lucy, Christopher D. Ferrier, Peppermint Patty, Peter Robbins, Charlie Brown, Stephen Shee, Linus. These are square croissants filled with cream and plum jam. They have the same texture and flakiness as a regular croissant. The X15, The fastest plane ever built would be launched off a bomber and light its rocket engines to reach 350,000 feet at a top speed of Mach 6.7, 4,500 miles per hour. In 1996, a Hong Kong gangster kidnapped the son of the richest man in Asia and demanded a $130 million ransom for his return. After receiving the money, the gangster later called the billionaire and asked him for advice on how he should invest the money. This is Nick Hess, and he's one of the few people in the world who can get drunk by simply eating crisps, potato chips. Margaret Borkwhite, a photographer for Life magazine, prepares to take a photo from one of the eagles on the 61st floor of the Chrysler Building in New York City in 1934. World War II. 3 young Russian women and a little girl recently freed from a labor camp by the US Army lay flowers at the feet of 4 dead American soldiers, April 18, 1945, Heilden, Germany. Colorized. A regular tattoo inside of an amazing tattoo. Elk pinned to a tree by an avalanche. The way this ice froze to this fence. Conrad Veidt in the silent film The Man Who Laughs, 1928. His character inspired the Joker in Batman. First image of DNA ever recorded. Reports that professional footballer Amir Nasser has added a faces section in Iran after campaigning for women's rights in his country. Roman bronze sculpture of a hand in a hang loose position, 2nd to 3rd century CE. Best urinal ever. Guitarpy allows men to record tunes that are replayed for everyone in the restroom to hear. The oldest existing cat flap, Exeter Cathedral, UK, has a 14th century door that is mentioned as an entrance for cats. From 1305 cathedral accounts show an allowance for quarterly payments of 13 pence to the custards and the cats. Coca-Cola cans from 1936. 1916 Traub motorcycle discovered in 1967 behind a brick wall still operable. Its origin unknown, and years ahead of its time. It's believed to be the only one ever built. The Dresden Green Diamond. Giant mechanical tricycles by the Boston Woven Hose and Rubber Company, 1896. A highly zoomed in shot of Jupiter. This amazing photo is of naval aviator / NASA astronaut Bruce McCandless. Heavy snow created a tunnel. Photo from a lifeboat, the full-rigged iron-hulled sailing vessel, Arden Craig, wrecked in the fog on Crimlage, Isles of Scilly, United Kingdom. She was on passage from Melbourne to Calais with a cargo of grain, 1911. Roman aqueduct of Zaghawan in Tunisia. Built during the rule of Hadrian in 122 AD, it carried water from Zaghawan to Carthage. This is real, not a cartoon. Some species of porcupine fish use a neurotoxin which is 1,200 times stronger than cyanide, but they have a nice smile. The most abundant wild bird in the world is not the cardinal or sparrow. It's the red-billed quelea, which lives in sub-Saharan Africa. They can nest in colonies of several million birds, and there are an estimated 1.5 billion of them on the planet. Copyright ownership rights for Naruto, a free-living crested macaque from the internationally famous monkey selfie photographs, settled in 2017, when photographers agreed to donate 25% of future revenue to charities that protect his habitat and that of other crested macaques in Indonesia. Real sustainable engineering from 1893. Railway powered using water, to carts attached by pulley, water pulled from nearby river, water discharged from cart tanks at specific times, to force one up/one down. Clifton Railway, Lynmouth, Devon, UK. This half street in the middle of nowhere. Our country and its resources. 1917. States and regions of the US renamed to show their size compared to various countries. Comparative area of the United States and foreign countries. Spanish supermarket chain Mercadona has begun selling pre-cooked eggs which are vacuum sealed in a film of plastic and sold for €1.80. They can be heated in a microwave for 45 seconds. American media promoting Stalin as a great leader in the 1940s. Although Stalin had already killed millions in the 1930s, a film was made at the special request of President Roosevelt to promote him as a great leader. Time. The weekly news magazine. Inside Pablo Escobar's ranch, Hacienda Nápoles. Got a cool copy of Rip It Up magazine. One of, if not, the top music magazines in New Zealand during the 1980s and 1990s. This issue is from April 1982, with a cover spot by The Clean, R.I.P. Hamish, and a full article discussing the Dunedin scene with bands like The Chills, Verlaines, and more. Current size of phone book for upcoming 2023. Candy cane for size comparison. Took a picture of my eye with flash on. Temporary blindness worth the results. Apparently during the 1840s, pubic wig were popular among frosty tooths. Green Lake, the secret of the submerged forest. Did you know? Green Lake is a place in Austria that is a dry park during winter and a 10-meter deep lake during the spring or early summer.